Hello everybody, my name is Draven Michael. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about deity. This is a topic that is relevant to every spiritual and magical practitioner. Some of us will choose to work with deities throughout our work and our practices to have them help us with our magic, spell work, and other things. And some of us will choose not to, or maybe some of us will see deity as a living, breathing being with its own agency. Some will just view deity as archetype. I am in the camp where they're kind of both. They live, they breathe, they exist. I've talked to them, they talk back. And they have archetypal roles that they also fill. This really comes, the topic for this video and this tag that we are going to be unveiling really comes from an episode of Behind the Moon that occurred, I think, 3/26/2026, where the conversation in the chat got to talking about deity. The episode was on dark goddesses and their role within practice. So I'm going to kind of look into my relationship with some of my deities and tell you about it. The first deity relationship that I am going to bring up is that with the Norse god of thunder and strength, Thor. I have been working with Thor since roughly 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Throughout my whole life, I've always been interested in storms. The first question in this tag, actually, is when did your relationship with this deity begin? So as I've said, 2008, 2009, but I've had an affinity for storms for my whole life. I grew up in a trailer with metal siding and a metal roof. And when it would rain, you would hear it and it would just kind of help you lull to sleep. Sleep soundly, sleep deep. And we would go camping. And you could just sit there from the protection of an awning and just watch the storms roll in over the lake. Feel that shift in the air. Feel that shift in the temperature. The energies change. There's that static, potential waiting to be unleashed. And as I came into my spiritual practice, my magical practice, to me, Thor is the Storm Lord, the protector and might of the Aesir. And he embodies that strong, protective nature that just... he's strong enough that he could break the world if he needed to. His fury can be limited or unlimited, but he knows exactly how much he needs to exert to protect the ones that he loves, the ones that he's in charge of. He's always there, and you can just kind of reach out. The next question in this tag: is there something in this relationship that has surprised you? How gentle he can be, how supportive he can be. Thor, even in the mythology, is kind of depicted as something of a boisterous, beer-drinking type. Not with the depth of you associate with some of the other deities. Not with the wisdom. But I've found that he has that depth, he has that wisdom, and he's gentle. A lot of people that have read the myths and have worked through it don't recall that he's a father. Throd, Magni, and Modi are his children. And fatherhood brings out gentleness in a lot of men. The third question is, how did you know you were meant to work with them? Well, that attraction to the storms, the protective strength that Thor offers, the quiet wisdom. I have that connection to stormy weather, work with its energies. Like, it's just always fascinated me. In my family and my friend group, in the community, I am that silent protector. I have a lot of accumulated and held wisdom, although maybe a little deeper than what Thor has, or at least lets on. But that's the influence of another deity we'll touch on in a little bit. Number 4. What lessons has this deity taught you? That strength has all kinds of forms. And some of the things that we don't think of as strength really are. Of course, there's the physical strength. I mean, I have always been super strong. My horse is over 800 pounds, and I literally moved her on my own in a direction she didn't want to go because she was trying to pin my wife to the stall wall. So that's a physical feat of strength. But he's also taught me that there is emotional strength. And for the masculine people, for men, sometimes showing emotional strength is hard. We've been taught our whole lives, culturally, to shut it down. If something has made you sad, makes you want to cry, no it's not, and it's nothing to cry about. You hold on to it. But when my father died, I didn't run from that grief, that sense of loss I felt. I also knew not to force it. Like, after his passing, I didn't cry for like a month and a half. Then I was eating dinner in my old house, and we had music on, and it just fucking hit. I let it crash over me like that tidal wave. I didn't run from it. I didn't avoid it. I just sat there and broke. A good, strong 5-minute cry. And it's exactly what I needed. It surprised the hell out of my wife and my son, but my son especially needed to see that emotional outpouring and how I dealt with it. I didn't go to the bathroom or I didn't go to the bedroom to face these emotions and deal with them. I walked through the tears, sat through the tears and the outpouring in a familiar and an open way in front of my family to show them, hey, feeling these emotions isn't a bad thing. The fact that you are choosing to face them and to feel them is a strength. Strength isn't always moving a horse out of the way with just your arms. It is sitting there knowing that you're gonna break and just letting the pieces fall. And then when you're other side, you honor those pieces, and if they're meant to be fit back into who you are, you go ahead and work on doing that too. Number 5. What aspect of yourself mirrors this deity? Strength. Physical and emotional strength. The endurance. Thor faced many tests, many challenges. He was always bigger, always stronger, and it carries its own form of expectation. Just like in my life, being taller means I've got to grab things off the high shelves for most everybody else in my life. Being stronger, I've got to carry heavier burdens. Being that protector to my community, my friends, my family, my loved ones. It also mirror Thor and that quiet wisdom, that quiet appreciation of a 7 a.m. sunrise or a 9 p.m. sunset over the waters. Just sometimes taking it slow, and other times just unleashing hell when it's called for. The 6th and last question, what archetypal masks does this deity wear, and do they change for you? The archetypes that I see Thor in the most is that strong protector, that father that is looking to protect his family, his tribe. And that mask doesn't really change, but I don't really need it to. But I see the other parts of him that are there. He's a bringer of fertility. The rains he brings in the storm nourish the crops. I have 2 children that I've just tried to be there as much as I can. Through the time I came into their lives, they were already starting to grow up. Like 9, 12 years old, maybe 9 and 13. And I just had to be there, and I tried to be there from that point to be somebody that they could come to for quiet wisdom and strength. And hopefully when I'm gone, they'll be able to say, Dad did a good job. But I won't know that until I move on. The next deity I want to touch on is Odin, the Norse sky deity, the seeker of wisdom and knowledge, giver of runes, leader of the host of the slain, chief of the Aesir. He's many things to me. The role he fills most to me, I think a lot of you will be able to see that influence. The first question again. Number 1, when did your relationship with this deity begin? Odin was there from almost the time I started working with Thor. He was just always around, hanging out, because I always dove right into seeking information and gaining that understanding, and he appreciated it, and his presence just never left. He was always there watching, and we would have conversations, and the relationship just kind of grew naturally. Number 2, is there something in this relationship that has surprised you? With Odin, not really. He's been pretty on the table with me. 3, how did you know you were supposed to work with this deity? just over the course of my research, I got this feeling in the back of my head like this is Odin's interest, this is Odin's thing. He's interested in you because of the interest you're showing, the creating that you're doing, the understanding you seek. He appreciates it. He likes it. Speak with him. See what he wants. See the advice he gives you. And I sat down on the back deck, just looking up at the stars, and I talked with the Wanderer for a while. We had a good conversation. Number 4. What lessons has this deity taught you? That sometimes there are things that we will never know until we can get a bigger view of the perspective. Whether it's from distance from it, just time, or gaining more knowledge. And there's just mysteries out there that will be mysterious until we move on from this realm, or we prepare to. Sometimes you just leave those things be. If you're meant to understand, understanding will happen, and you can't necessarily force it. Number 5. What aspect of yourself mirrors this deity? That thirst for knowledge. I mean, Odin hung himself from the bow of Yggdrasil to contemplate the runes for a week and a half. That dedication to gain that knowledge, that wisdom. I will research as much as I can to find that knowledge. And he's also told me, hey, you need life experience, accumulated knowledge through living. That's a huge thing too. Don't neglect it. The last deity that I'm really gonna talk about in this video, the Queen, the Morrigan. Life after life, death after death, in service to her. She has been a near constant. I started working with deities this life, and she shows up again. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this time. Every time I work with you, I die. And I avoided her for a decade plus. And then 2020 hits. We all know what 2020 was, what we lived through. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? You keep showing up and offering me your hand. I'm gonna take it. Question 1. Where did your relationship with this deity begin? Many lives ago, across the seas. But this time, it was at my mom and dad's house in the family room in rural Ohio in 2020, in the height of the pandemic. I was doing some transformative work, working on my health, working on myself, and that's where it started. Number 2, is there something in this relationship that has surprised you? For all of her ferocity and bloodlust, she can be gentle and understanding and guiding. There's still the battle queen, the battle raven, but she can be kind of gentle as well. And I've seen that, and it's been nice. 3. How did you know you were meant to work with them? She kept showing up every time, even when I said no. She'd watch. Sometimes she would help. looking back on some things, I can see her nudges here and there to make things into my favor, even when I kept saying no. Number 4, what lessons has this deity taught you? Know what is yours and where your lines are, and stand firm to protect it. Hold on to what is yours and what is right. You know what is right and wrong. What aspect of yourself mirrors this deity? I love to shapeshift. Morrigan is a shape-shifting goddess. She has many forms: the wolf, the eel, the dog, the crow. Many aspects of her, both light and dark. She has a depth to her. She's stubborn. I am super fucking stubborn. When there's something I want to make a stand on, you're probably not going to make me budge. Number 6, what archetypal masks does this deity wear for you? Do they change? Morrigan wears the mask of the queen, regal and strong, assured in the knowledge of who she is, deep and rooted. She knows who she is, and nobody's gonna change it. There've been times where that need for the fierceness, that scary strength, that inner dragon to come out has been called for, and it has been her aspects I've seen at times. But normally it is the great queen that I see, the great queen I interact with. Sometimes it will be the great queen as the mother. And the last deity I worked with, I haven't really had that long of a relationship with her in a working together sense. But I can give a little bit of background on the relationship, but not necessarily answer some of the questions yet. But hell, I became aware of back in 2018, 2019, especially through 2020. Chris Ashburn and Joey Morris were doing lives seemingly every other day, at least like twice a week. And Chris is a devotee of hell, so she'd talk about her a lot, and that triggered me, of course, doing research, just looking into her. My wife and I work with the spirits of the dead, helping children cross over, so that kind of began the familiarity. Then, fast forward about 3 years, and I'm talking with my best friend, Christina, about her spiritual practices and dark goddesses, and hell comes up, and we start talking about her. And I'm talking her up, she's written as the scary, malevolent being, the queen of the underworld in Norse mythology. No one and nothing that gets to her escapes. She's this cruel thing to be feared, and I've never felt that. So I'm talking about her. It's gentle, protective. Yes, she has that ferocious side, that finality side of it. She represents uncomfortable truths, hidden truths. Every single living being on earth is going to die, and it cannot be escaped. And in some of her ways, she represents that. She enacts certainties in our existence, and patterns of fate cannot be avoided. Not entirely. She didn't even let Balder go after he died. Death is final. Death is inescapable. But those in her realm, in the realm of hell, Hel, not the Hell version of the Judeo-Christian sort. Everybody is kind of familiar with Valhalla. Some are familiar with Folkvanger of Freya. Hell is where the non-warriors go. It's where you see your kith and your kin, your family, your friends, your tribe, and you just hang out and spend your afterlife together until you reincarnate. And she rules over that. She rules over those reunions. She is a fierce, certain finality, and also a gentle, caring, loving mother. And I was telling my friend about that, and just the way I was talking about her, Hal was like, okay, I like you. I'm fond of who you seem to be and the work you do, so I'm gonna be around. And then last Samhain, it's like, you know what? Maybe I should work with her. So I'm trying to work and develop that relationship to be able to answer all the questions for the tag. And then time I'll be able to. So this will conclude the tag for now. But I would like to give a shout out and a thank you to each and every person within the community. Your comments, your likes, your views on other videos and the tags that I've done, the interactions on my non-tag videos are deeply, deeply appreciated. I enjoy the community. I enjoy the conversation. I really would like to thank my collaborator on these tags, Amber at Psychopomp of the Void. And the name of the tag for this one is hashtag Get to Know Your Deities. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, have a good rest of your day.